Mom's been in an accident and taken to the hospital. Please, drive me there. I pleaded with the husband, tears streaming down my face. I had just received a call that Mom was in a critical condition, unconscious after a traffic accident. But when I told my husband about the situation, he refused to take me, saying he had a corporate trip and it was impossible. No matter how much I begged, he just got completely indifferent.
To me, this trip is more important. Visiting some old lady who's practically a stranger is a waste of time. I'm definitely not going.
I am Joanne, 29 years old. I married my husband Adam, who's a year older than me 2 years ago. We're a dual income couple, busy with our daily lives. Adam and I met in the same college club. The club had many members, so it was hard to talk to everyone. But one day at a party, I ended up sitting next to Adam and we hit it off. We both discovered we were only children raised by single mothers after losing our dads early on, which brought us closer. We started going out and naturally our relationship turned romantic. Once we settled into our careers, Adam proposed. Both of us are fulfilled in our careers, so we haven't thought about kids yet. But we do want them eventually, so we have talked about buying a house when the time comes. Right now, we are renting a condo and both our mothers live nearby. Since both our dads have passed away, our moms Flora and Casey live alone but have become great friends. They're close in age, both raised their children alone without remarrying and hit it off. Since our wedding's family meeting, they have become like friends, often meeting for tea or traveling together. I was surprised how close they became, but Mom seems so happy with Casey, so I'm glad they met. Casey is fond of me too, and we have a good relationship. However, Adam seems to resent Casey for prioritizing my mom over him. He's quite a mommy's boy. Even before we got married, it was evident how much he cherished his mom, and I understood it, being raised by a single mother myself. But after we got married and started living together, I quickly learned his true nature. One holiday, Mom sent me an email with a photo of her and Casey having lunch together. The email said, "Having lunch with Casey right now," accompanied by a picture of the two smiling. I remember it made me smile too. "Hey Adam, look, Mom and Casey are having lunch together. See, she sent a photo." I showed the picture to Adam, who happened to be at home. But he just clicked his tongue and got moody.
What's this, some kind of spite towards me?
What? What are you talking about? At that time, I didn't realize Adam disliked my mom. He often didn't talk much around Mom, which I thought was just nerves from being newly married. I never imagined he would dislike my mom just because he got along with his own.
Because of her? Mom's been turning down my dinner invitations lately, saying she has plans with Flora or something. Doesn't Flora have any sense of restraint?
I was shocked to hear Adam speak ill of my mom. I hadn't thought he felt that way. Casey also seemed to have realized early on that Adam disliked my mom. One day when the four of us were dining out, Adam made several unpleasant remarks to Mom. Unable to bear it any longer, Casey scolded him. "Adam, what's with this attitude towards Flora? Stop it already."
So, Mom always takes Flora's side, huh? You've always said I'm your precious son. It's not funny to prioritize someone you've recently become close with over your own son?
Adam retorted, but honestly, his attachment to Casey seemed abnormal to me. Later, when Adam wasn't around, Casey apologized to me and Mom. "I think I've spoiled him too much. I'm really sorry." There's no need for Casey to worry. I'm not bothered by it. Adam just loves Casey very much. Mom had a laid-back personality and rarely gets angry. She seemed to accept Adam's behavior without complaint, but I could tell she was hurt inside. And Adam, oblivious to Mom's feeling, kept worsening his attitude with each passing day. Since Casey would defend Mom, he never attacked Mom directly, but he would complain to me whenever Mom and Casey seemed close. And eventually, he even started bad-mouthing Mom regularly. By our second year of marriage, I couldn't take it anymore and had a huge fight with Adam. After a heated argument, the fundamental issue remained unresolved, and since then our relationship has become strained, with less conversation than before. Lately, I've noticed Adam coming home late and often going out alone on weekends. I found it odd and asked him directly, but he said he's been busy with work with lots of overtime and weekend shifts. Even with his explanation, I couldn't shake off my unease. Then one Sunday, a day we both had off, Adam was packing his bags in the morning. It seemed he didn't have to work that day. Just as I was about to ask him why he was packing, my phone rang. An unknown number was displayed, and to my surprise, the caller was a police officer. After confirming I was Mom's daughter, the officer said something unbelievable.
Actually, your mom has been involved in a traffic accident.
My mind went blank. Mom? She had been taken to the hospital in a critical condition, unconscious. After getting the hospital's number, I ended the call, my hands trembling. Tears welled up, and though my thoughts were scattered, I knew I had to get to the hospital. But since I don't drive, I desperately pleaded with Adam. Adam, it's terrible. Mom's been in an accident and taken to the hospital. Please drive me there. We need to go now. But after hearing the situation, Adam turned to me with a look of annoyance and said,
Huh? I'm about to go on a corporate trip. I'll miss the meeting time. Handle it yourself.
He flatly refused my plea. A corporate trip? I didn't know it was today. I realized that's why he was packing, but Adam had never told me about this trip. Moreover, he said the trip was for 2 weeks, leaving me speechless. How can you go on a trip at a time like this? If we don't hurry, Mom might...
Quiet. The trip is more important to me. Besides, Flora's just an unrelated old lady I hate. Visiting her is a waste of time. And I'm definitely not going. Huh.
Adam said these insensitive words with a sneer.
Get out of the way. I have a plane to catch. I'm busy.
He pushed past me, humming a tune while packing his clothes into his carry-on bag. Furious, I shouted, "You're the worst. Just do whatever you want." I left the house and hurried to the hospital by taxi. Afterwards, Adam left for his corporate trip as planned. He had no idea of the shocking events that unfolded while he was away. I tried calling him several times, but couldn't reach him, and 2 weeks passed without any contact. In the evening, 2 weeks later, Adam returned home in a good mood. I looked at him coldly.
We need to give Mom her souvenir. I wonder how she's doing,
he said optimistically, but I didn't respond. I quietly agreed to go with him to his parents' house. On the way, Adam happily talked about the souvenirs he bought for Casey, never once mentioning my mom who was in the accident. Upon arriving, Adam stopped, puzzled to find the front door locked.
Strange. Why is the door locked?
He seemed suspicious because the front door was locked. Usually, the door isn't locked when Casey is home.
Is Mom not home?
Adam muttered. I pushed past him, took out the key I had for his parents' house, and unlocked the door.
Why do you have the house key?
He asked, confused, but I didn't answer. Entering before me, Adam looked around, puzzled by Casey's absence. As he headed towards the living room, I stopped him. Not that way. This way, I said, leading him outside the house. We walked to a nearby cemetery and stopped in front of Casey's grave.
What?
Stunned, Adam trembled as he looked at the gravestone, then turned to me, almost crying.
What's going on? What is this?
I sighed deeply, holding back my anger towards Adam, and explained, Casey passed away while you were on your trip. The funeral's already over. Adam glared at me, his face twisted in hurt.
Don't joke. This can't be happening. Why should it be Mom? Wasn't it Flora who was in the accident and unconscious? If anyone should have died, it should have been Flora.
His disrespectful outburst filled me with disgust, but I calmly explained what happened after my mom's accident. My mom woke up safe after that. She's still undergoing rehab for her fractures, but is gradually recovering. She was still hospitalized, but was safe thanks to the medical staff's efforts. However, Adam seemed unable to accept it.
So why is Mom?
He began to ask. It seems on the day my mom had her accident, she was on her way to our house. She fell off a pedestrian bridge. I choked on my words as I continued. You told Casey about going on the corporate trip, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but
recently Casey was suspicious of you. She said you had become hard to reach. She probably wanted to see if you were really on a corporate trip. Adam's eyes widened in surprise as I spoke. According to Casey, Adam used to call her or email her almost every day, but recently, his contacts had become rare. Sometimes when Casey called urgently, he wouldn't answer, and if he did call back, he would quickly say he was busy and hang up. Casey had thought perhaps Adam, being an adult, was becoming less attached to his mom, but she had a hunch that Adam was hiding something. With growing distrust, Casey decided to check if the corporate trip was real. On the same day I received the call about Mom's accident, she was heading to our house. Casey, who had passed away, was carrying souvenirs she bought with Mom on a day trip the previous month, probably intending to use them as an excuse to visit. That day, in my shock, I couldn't think of anything but getting to the hospital quickly, so I informed Casey about Mom's accident. She had taken a bus to the stop closest to our condo and was likely walking from there. There's a large staircase on the way, and she apparently fell while climbing it. A witness said she tripped just before reaching the top and tumbled down. An ambulance was called, but she had hit her head severely and didn't survive. After finishing the explanation, I glared at Adam. I called you several times after finding out about Casey. Over the past 2 weeks, Adam never answered my calls or replied to my emails. I had to conduct Casey's funeral as there were no other relatives to turn to. With Mom still in critical condition, I somehow managed the funeral without her real son. These 2 weeks, you've been ignoring my calls to have fun, right? I've seen your true colors now. I'm divorcing you. As I declared this, Adam collapsed and started crying.
You! How can you talk about divorce right after Mom's dead? It's not the time for that. I didn't contact you because I was always with my colleagues, with no time to call.
As Adam cried and made excuses, my anger only grew. Stop lying! I raised my voice and pulled out a piece of paper from my bag, thrusting it in front of Adam. It was a corporate trip schedule I found in his room. This says the trip was from the 12th to the 19th, 1 week. But you were gone from the 5th to the 19th. Right before you left, you said the trip was 2 weeks. So where were you, and what were you doing during that first week?
Oh, well, but...
I know what you have been up to. You've been cheating, haven't you? And you spent this week with your mistress, right? As I spoke with conviction, Adam, who had stopped crying, began to panic.
What are you talking about? Cheating? That's crazy. I took the remaining week off to travel with friends. You know, I needed a break from work.
I was fed up with his continued excuses and pulled out another mobile phone from my pocket. Seeing it, Adam's face turned pale. The phone was Adam's, which I had found in his closet while he was away. He probably had another phone in his bag, one he used specifically to communicate with his mistress. Adam had claimed he couldn't contact me during his trip, but he had left his usual phone at home, making it impossible for him to notice any calls. You're all lies. You left this phone at home to spend time with your mistress. When I placed the phone in front of Adam, he began to tremble and pounded his fists on the ground.
Yes, I've fallen out of love with you. I have someone else I love now.
He shouted defiantly.
And how did you find out about the hidden phone? You didn't go through my room while I was away, did you?
And then accused me. I glanced at Cassie's gravestone, sadly apologizing for showing such a scene in front of her, then spoke up. Casey told me. Adam choked on his words.
What?
After our big fight over Mom, Adam's late returns and weekend outings had increased, and his unavailability became suspicious. I confided in Casey. Then Casey, who also had her doubts about Adam, gave me some advice. That boy has always had a habit of hiding things that are inconvenient for him. For example, bad test scores or a glass cherished by Dad that he broke carelessly. He used to hide such things in the very back of the closet. If you find a bunch of towels in the back of the closet, he's probably hidden something in them. After her death, I remembered her words, checked Adam's closet, and indeed found the phone.
That... Mom told you that?
Adam was visibly upset, not expecting his beloved Casey to doubt him. But his dejected look didn't move me. I'm filing for divorce and will seek alimony. I'm prepared to consult a lawyer and go to court if needed. I stated calmly and resolutely. Adam groaned but reluctantly agreed, realizing he had no escape. We eventually settled our property division amicably and finalized the divorce. However, the following month, just as my new life was starting to settle down, I received a call from Adam. Reluctantly, I answered.
Joanne, please, I need your help.
And Adam blurted out, "What now? What happened?" It turned out that Adam's absence at Casey's funeral had become known at his workplace. Since Casey was listed as his dependent, there were insurance matters to address after her death. This alerted his company to her passing, and they realized the funeral had occurred during his corporate trip. Adam was seen as an insensitive man who didn't attend his own mother's funeral, receiving cold treatment from his colleagues. He tried to shift the blame, claiming, "I didn't inform him about the funeral." However, his panic and talking to various people probably didn't help. The stories he told his colleagues and his boss contradicted each other, and they kept changing every time he told them. Eventually, the inconsistencies surfaced and his lies were exposed. Already viewed as insensitive, his repeated lies led to doubts about his character, resulting in his isolation and eventual resignation from the company. Now, without income, Adam was living off Casey's inheritance in his parents' home.
But the neighbors know I didn't attend the funeral, so it's uncomfortable here. I tried to sell the house, but it's old and there are no buyers.
Apparently, the neighbors saw him as a scoundrel's son, making it awkward even to walk outside. He had planned to sell the house quickly and move, but the sale was not going well.
I'm in real trouble, Joanne. Let's start over. Remarry me and live together.
Hearing this, I felt disgusted. He was only reaching out because he was in a bad situation. Don't be ridiculous. I'm disgusted with you and I'll never remarry you.
Please, I'm desperate.
I don't care about you anymore. Go live with your mistress. I firmly refused, but Adam mumbled something.
No, I broke up with her.
It seemed his mistress found out about Casey's funeral and, realizing she was the other woman, broke up with him in anger. Adam, who had hidden his marriage, was now alone. You brought this on yourself. I don't want to be with someone like you. Goodbye. As I was about to hang up, Adam hastily said,
Wait, if you won't agree to marry me, I'll come to your house and talk. You're at your parents' place, right?
He spoke rapidly, trying to persuade me. But I immediately replied, I'm not there.
Huh? Then where are you now?
I'm not telling you. Besides, I've recently changed jobs. So waiting outside my old office is useless. I've already told everyone there that if you show up, they should call the police. I decided to sell my family home to put distance between me and Adam. The house, being quite old, was unlikely to find a buyer quickly. So with Mom's consent, we sold the land after demolishing the house. Mom, having recently been discharged from the hospital, was quite frail, having lost her dear friend Casey. We moved to a quieter location to live together peacefully. As part of this change, I left my old job and found new employment.
Just tell me where you are at least. I want to visit Flora, to whom I owe so much.
Adam was desperate to find out where I was, but his words infuriated me, and I responded more coldly than I expected. Owe her? After all the trouble you have given Mom? Don't start with your convenient words now. Besides, Mom said she never wants to see you again.
Huh? Wait, Joanne!
Adam was still trying to say something, but I mercilessly ended the call. I blocked his number and later changed mine. I later learned that Adam was being sued for damages by his mistress for deceiving her and was struggling financially. Unable to find steady work, he was living day to day on temporary jobs and searching for full-time employment. Mom and I started our new life in a new place, relieved to be free from Adam. We haven't yet visited Casey's grave since her funeral and the move, and Mom often looks at photos and videos of Casey, sometimes crying. I want to visit Casey soon, she says sadly. Yes, let's go to the cemetery soon. I'm currently planning the visit, making sure to avoid any chance of meeting Adam. I hope to enrich our lives in this new place while supporting Mom.